IGT, baby.
Go. What's cracking, y'all? It's your boy Junior Mafia coming back to you with another video. So, just finished watching the Royal Rumble, and man, there's some shit we have to unpack on what's been going down, man. This was a dope show. I enjoyed it for the most part and all, and there was a lot of storytelling, in the Royal Rumble and all that, and you could tell certain feuds either continuing on or building up new ones and all that too. So let's not waste no time. I haven't took any notes, due to the duration of this pay-per-view and all that. I'm just going based off what I've seen. So if I miss anything, y'all let me know in the comments down below. So we had the women's Royal Rumble match to kick off the show, and the first two entrants end up being Charlotte Flair number 1 and Alexa Bliss at number 2. And you see them in there, and they're both able to go on attack, but just was joking around and stuff like that. You had Alexa Bliss about to hit her with her sister Abigail, but stopped midway just to, joke around and shit like that. And then you had Charlotte that was looking to hit the figure eight on her too, but just joking around. So they did all that just to wait until the next entrant came in, which was Kiana James. And they got out there, they fully attacked her and stuff like that. She was holding on until the next entrant was coming. So, the beginning and the middle of that match, which on autopilot, things they really started ramping up until later on. But some interesting thing that did go down, was the elimination of not only Nia Jax, but Alexa Bliss, courtesy of Charlotte Flair. And, she ended up kicking Nia Jax, who was, going back and forth, with Alexa Bliss outside of the ropes. And that was when Charlotte took advantage of them and knocked both of them off. And you see the stun look on both Charlotte and Alexa face there. And it's like, yo, what the fuck just happened? And it may not be a big deal at that point right there, but it's going to get brought up down the line once SmackDown rolls in. So definitely we're going to see that happening. Then, we had the Judgment Day members in there of Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, and Raquel Rodriguez. So, for a fact that with those number games, they was looking to pretty much take advantage of everybody there. You saw the interaction with Natty and Maxine Dupree, but they ramp up that feud as well. You can't forget Becky Lynch, who was in there as well, who was also dealing with Maxine Dupree and all, but she ended up getting eliminated. So by I believe by Natty, if I'm not mistaken. So you got that feud happening and all. Then of course Lash Legend comes out and all, and she also started wreaking havoc on a lot of people and all that stuff. So it was getting interesting, but nothing started really going down until later on, with the eliminations of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Especially with Io, how she eliminated by Lash, and how they was pretty much hanging on the ropes and all that too. And as both women look, they trying to keep their balance from letting their feet touch the mat and all that. It was a crazy spot that Lash did where she took a boot and stomped Io. And it's like the impact of it was so brutal. And of course, after that happened, Io lost her balance. She ended up getting eliminated. But we couldn't tell if that was a work or if that was a legit injury and all that. But you could tell Io got, she felt that. The whiplash was crazy and all that stuff. So I had to bring that up. And it was crazy, and it was gonna fire up Rhea Ripley when she saw that, because she was so pissed off. So you saw her and Lash go at it back and forth and all that shit. And of course they Rhea ended up getting eliminated and all that stuff. So now it's really starting to ramp up where you have Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Lash Legend on the ring, and then I forget we had Tiffany Stratton, who ended up coming in at number 30. And before I continue on with this, we thought we were going to get some surprise entrants in here, in this women's Royal Rumble match. we ended up getting the Bella Twins, and I'm still not a fan of that because I know everybody, including me, was anticipating that we could have at least had either Paige or even AJ Lee. She wasn't even in the match as well. So, I was a little salty about that, but I feel like the results was way better than I expected. So Ruka, she also went on an absolute tear and she surprised the hell out of me in this match. I definitely enjoyed her. Like I say, the MVP of it was Last Legend and Soul Ruka for what they did. But when Soul Ruka, when Last getting eliminated and it was down to, 4 women, which was Raquel. Oh yes, I'm all over the place. Last ended up getting eliminated about Raquel, I think. And then you see Liv Morgan comes from behind and eliminates Raquel Rodriguez. And that alone, it was a shocker because nobody expected that at all. And also, it's bringing tension between the two now because we could tell the Judgment Day, they about to be dismantled right now, especially after what happened here. And Raquel gonna have something to say come through Monday Night Raw when they all dead. She gonna look for answers to find out like what was that about, what was that all about. So now it was down to 3 women, which was Liv, Tiffany Stratton, and Soul Ruka. And at that point, now it's like really getting there now. Now it's getting more intense. And you see when both of the women's going back and forth and all that stuff. And it was leading towards, outside the ropes. And Soul Ruka was looking to eliminate Tiffany Stratton. And of course, Tiffany holding it down and all that. And you got both Liv, all 3 of them on outside the ropes going back and forth, hit for hit. And you see Tiffany Stratton, she turns her attention to Soul Ruka. And, as they counter and Soul Ruka looking to hit the Soul Snatcher, outside the ring. Of course, that was not going to execute. And that was how Tiffany Stratton was able to eliminate her. But after that, Liv Morgan looked to take advantage of her, hit the Oblivion outside the ring to Tiffany Stratton. She got eliminated, and Liv Morgan is now your Women's Royal Rumble winner, which was the right call. And I chose her to win only because it makes the most sense from a booking standpoint, and the fact that she never won a Royal Rumble at all. And this is the momentum you have to ride with her all the way to WrestleMania, right here and there. So the right woman won. I enjoyed it for what the match was, had a good time. I feel like for me, if I had to give a rating for the women's match, it was 8 out of 10. It was 8 out of 10 because we had some very shocking moments that we didn't expect at all. I think the only downside for me was if you had any surprise appearance. I thought that it would have been a little more better. And that probably would have brought it to a 10 out of 10. If either AJ Lee or Paige was there, it would have brought it to a 10 out of 10. But it was satisfied for what we had gotten, and the right person won. So best believe, leading up to WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown is going to be a must watch, in my opinion. So congrats to Liv getting the job done and all that shit. And definitely excited for what's to come. Next, we have AJ Styles taking on Gunther. If AJ loses, then he's officially retired. So, comes out, Gunther coming out to a bereft of booze, as you expected and all. And AJ Styles, when his music went off and that crowd went ballistic, that was fantastic to hear and all that. Potentially being his last time walking down that ramp and all. So the match begins, and at this point right now, you could tell that it was, on autopilot for a certain amount of time, but then it started to build up towards the middle and then the tail end of the match. So all that time, you just saw Gunther trying to, take advantage of AJ by putting him in submission holds because his mission was to submit AJ, similar to what he did to John Cena. And in this case for AJ, he kept targeting the knee of Gunther right there just to slow him down, which was really working, so to speak. And he was doing all he could and all that, putting in submission holds, putting him in a calf crusher, which really did the damage to Gunther a lot. And Gunther tried to counter it, with sleeper holds after sleeper holds after sleeper holds. And you see AJ trying to take advantage of it. He hit a Styles clash onto him, even a phenomenal forearm outside of the outside of the ring, excuse me, and all that stuff. So it was getting there, and because going to doing his slow, methodical beatdowns, of multiple chops to the chest on AJ, and just pretty much trying to slowly destroy him. But of course, AJ continued to fight back and was trying to hold his own a lot. It was countless times where we thought that he was going to potentially win, hitting the phenomenal forearm and stuff like that. But of course, in typical Gunther fashion, he was looking for that moment to take advantage of him and to put him in sleeper holds. And you saw how many times AJ tried to fight out of it, still trying to gain momentum and all. But Gunther was able to keep that momentum of his and lock the sleeper hold in so many times to where the final time that he did it, and he has a lockdown, you see AJ trying to fight and giving all he can, trying to get towards the ropes to break the hold. But it was at a point where it was too much. And instead of doing what John Cena did and tapping out, this man went out on his own shield and just completely passed out. The ref takes his hands, lifted it up multiple times to see if he get a response. The one time he did it, the second time he lifts it up, and it dropped down, and that was when the ref called for the match, and Gunther ends up winning, with this man collecting another superstar career like their Infinity Stones. And so at this point now, you have to call this nigga Gunther, right? I mean, I said Gunther, Thanos, right now for what he's been doing. Packing up Goldberg last year, sending him in retirement, doing the same for John Cena, making him tap out, sending him in retirement, and now you have another legendary career of AJ Styles now on your finger right now that you retired. So at this point right now, you can tell what is Gunther's mission when it comes down to this. If you have a career that's on his whip ends right now, he's looking to snatch all of that spotlight away from you so it be his. And knowing that down the line, we're going to get Rey Mysterio, who's looking to retire as well. But although I don't envision a circumstance that he's going to have that encounter with Gunther to where he put his career on the line, I don't see that happening. I think it all falls on, when Dominic and him face one last time, and Dominic gets that clean win over him at a PLE, is when he'll hang up the boots and call it a career. And in this case for Randy Orton, it's not going to make sense for Gunther to, face him anytime soon with his career on the line, because Randy can still go, and he still got some couple of years left before he even thinks about that mentality. And he's still steamrolling right now, wanting to be on every show consistently. So in my opinion, you keep Gunther far away from Randy Orton, far away from him. But after it was all said and done, it was bittersweet, it was quiet, everybody just looked stunned, looked pissed off, emotional, everything under the sun once he had beaten AJ. And once it was done, he leave out the ring, he's smirking, laughing, all of that stuff. He gave AJ his moment in the ring, and a bunch of thank you, AJ, all that stuff. And he's just full of emotions. He even tried taking his gloves off and was looking to leave in the middle of the ring, and you hear the crowd going, no, no, no. They wasn't having it at all. And at that point right there, it was just it was so much for him to really digest and all, damn, it's really over. So as it happens, he said, you know what, screw it, put the gloves back on. He did his signature pose that he do in the ring, and just give everybody his love one last time. And then he leaves out of there, and just full of emotions and all that. And it looked like this is the last time we will see AJ Styles in the WWE rings. And with that, I just want to say thank you, AJ, on the magnificent career and all. You already know the work and the body, the body work you put in TNA. You're a household name there, and definitely a Hall of Famer in that company. But since you debuted in the WWE in 2016 at the Royal Rumble, the same place where you ended your career at 10 years later, what a hell of a fucking journey. And you deserve all the flowers while you can still smell them. That was fantastic. And you had a magnificent career here. So I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you, and best believe you're going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame without a shadow of a doubt. So I just want to say thank you, AJ. So moving on, we had Drew McIntyre taking on Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Championship. And before I get into that, I'm sorry because I'm all over the place, y'all. I did have AJ winning that match only because I feel like it still would have been ongoing. I feel like if AJ ends his career, because he's saying that 2026 is the final year, he's going to be competing in the ring, I would have thought it would have at least been a proper sent off at WrestleMania. And I said, if I be wrong, I'll be wrong. And long and behold, I was. And it ended up being his swan song. So I just wanted to bring that up and all that. So next, we had Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. Now, I chose Drew McIntyre to retain. And that ended up happening. So come out there, match started and all. And for this match, I was expecting a little better and all. And it pretty much felt like a squash match, so to speak. Now, Sammy did have his moments in the match where, he got to connect some haluva kicks and all that, hitting the exploder on Drew McIntyre in the corner and all. But this was Drew's opportunity to take advantage of him a whole lot. Hitting clothesline after clothesline after clothesline. Then when Sammy tried to go for the haluva kick, ends up missing. And that's when Drew take advantage, hitting him with a Claymore kick. Even going outside of the ring and powerbombing Sami Zayn onto the announce table. Now, my thing is about that, and this is what I always had a pet peeve about. It was a normal match. And in this case, for the referee, you should be in that ring counting them out. If you got medical people to attend to check on Sami, make sure he's okay, let that happen. But bottom line, you should be in the ring doing the count out there. Because last time I checked, this is not a no disqualification match. So I had a little issue with that. But everything else, it was just Drew McIntyre, like slow, methodical beatdowns. And, when Sammy was like about to gain momentum and, try to at least win the match and all that too, of course, Drew McIntyre was able to take advantage of it, hit him with a Claymore kick, and then could have pinned him, but said, nah, it's not enough. And waited for Sammy to get right back up again and monologuing him and all that stuff. So as he's getting up, he turns around. Drew didn't waste no time, hit another Claymore kick on him, and slowly, creeped up to him, pinned him for the 1, for the 2, for the 3, and Drew McIntyre retains the championship. And I knew this was bound to happen because I didn't envision the circumstance that Drew McIntyre lose the title so early. I said the cutoff time it will happen is either around Elimination Chamber or, in this case, WrestleMania. Those will be the times where I feel like he will drop the title. But it was just too soon to do so. And in this case for Sami Zayn, WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi Arabia next year. And I felt like at that moment there, this is where he have his Daniel Bryan moment. And he'll capture the title, at next year WrestleMania. I feel like if that happens, especially with, I don't know how the deal's going on between WWE and Saudi Arabia, if they decide to part ways after their 10-year contract being up, do you take this time right now and just say, what, the proper send off and end up being is WrestleMania, then that's cool. And I feel like if you end it off that way, it has to be with Sami Zayn capturing a championship, no matter if it's the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship. One out of the two, it has to happen, and Sami capture it to have a proper send off. So I expect him to win it next year. I definitely wasn't, expecting anything for this year. So there was that, and that match, it was okay and all that. It just really was a squash match in favor of Drew. So there's that. And now it's time for the main event that everybody been waiting for, and that was the men's Royal Rumble match. Now, before that happened, they showed a video package of Paul Heyman barking on Adam Pearce. This had to be yesterday, when they had the pre-show panel, whatever it was, and they was talking and shit. And Paul Heyman was fired up, especially about learning that Bron Breakker is going to be the number 2 entrant into the men's Royal Rumble. We found like it was a fix and all. To what Adam Pearce said, no, this part of the Rumble, like everything is random up. It's not me choosing that and all that stuff. But you knew that Adam Pearce had an ace up his sleeve, like low key, and that was his get back for Bron Breakker. So that was going to play a focal point into this match. So I found it very interesting that they end up showing us that. So for the first entrant, into that match, we had Obafemi, and him making his debut onto the main roster. And my God, did he put it on a show? He put on a fucking show. And coming out there, crowd hyped up. He got pyro and all that stuff. You hear the Oba chants going on. So it was just very interesting. And of course, you have Bron Breakker coming out, and right before he can get into the ring, out of nowhere, you had a hoodie up guy come away, attack Bron Breakker and all that, throws him towards the steel steps, then proceeds to hit a curse off on him and all that. And we're all trying to figure out who the hell it is. Now, I know for a fact it ain't Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins is a lot more taller than him and all that stuff. So it was insane. Some people thought that it could have been Austin Theory low key. It's a mystery, and it happened out of nowhere to have people thinking like, yo, who the fuck was behind that? So them questions gonna have to get answered, ASAP. So he throws him into the ring. Match starts already. Bron Breakker struggling to get up, but overlooked to take advantage of that and instantly clotheslines him, and he gets eliminated fast, which really shocked me the most, because I did not expect Bron Breakker to get eliminated that quick. I thought in those situations right there that he would have at least made it to the final 4 or something like that. But no, they packed him up. Oba got him up out of there, and he was an early elimination. Then you had Rey Mysterio come out and all that stuff. And it was, who was it to? Damn, it's escaping me. It was so many. I know Rey Mysterio was there. We had the first introduction to Powerhouse Hobbs, who name is going by Royce Keys, and I love the transition they did, for him. He ended up getting pyro as well. Crowd was excited. He goes in there. So you had him, Damian Priest, it was somebody else too, Rusev. So it was a lot, and literally you just saw Oba just single-handedly decimate everybody, making it a one-on-one match and all. He had about 5 eliminations under his belt, so he made his presence felt, and definitely looking like the fan favorite in the match. But once Damian Priest came out there and was able to slow things down, that's when the ring started to fill up a bit and all that. And of course, with the Royce Keys being there and him making his presence felt, all of those things. So it was already hyped up to begin in the beginning, then it kind of slowed down a bit. But all that changed when the Vision came. So when you had Bronson Reed there, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, that's when it really started to really pick up. And then LA Knight makes a return, and he comes out there, who I chose to win the Rumble. He comes out there and instantly they waste no time packing everybody up, hitting people with BFTs and all that stuff. And you know, as Division trying to jump him and all that, you know, once he found an advantage to pretty much get them out of the way, he ended up eliminating Austin Theory, and then got Bronson Reed up out of this. So now he's already cleaning house. Crowd is amped up right now. I'm turning up as well. Nigga, like, okay, this could be his moment now. You got all three members of the Vision out of this matchup right now, which only leads Logan Paul. I'm not gonna count Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar is his own man. He moved to the beat of his own drum. So as all those going down and shit like that, and you know, things started to ramp up, it started to really, really heat up the minute Brock Lesnar made his entrance. And when he came down there, it was like, y'all better buckle up, because, you know, things is really about to turn up now. So get his pyro, gets in there, and immediately starts suplexing everybody, like Cody, Javon Evans, LA Knight, everybody just got getting suplex. You know, you had Dragon Lee getting an F5. I'm thinking the Dragon Lee or Ray Phoenix, one of them getting F5, getting packed up, all of those things. And you see the interaction between him and Oba, and they was hyping it up big time. And I was like, oh, we're gonna get that moment now. And then it all got taken away from us when the Miz came out. And the Miz tried to go there, and he always tried to go in the ring, but when he saw Brock and Oba, he kind of doubled back, like, nah, I'm good, and stayed outside the ring. But as they were still going face to face with each other, that's when everybody to try to take advantage and try to, you know, pack up both Brock and Oba, which they end up getting out of that again, pack them up, and then they also had that counter again. But right around the time when they did that, we was getting the 24th entrant or something, and I forgot who was coming out, but of course Brock Lesnar cleaning house and looking to take advantage again. Oba hits him with a German suplex and all that stuff. So as he's doing that now, he's taunting him and all that shit. And of course, when Oba tried to get the best of him, Brock was able to take advantage and end up eliminating Oba, which I know that pissed a lot of people off, including me. You know, I definitely didn't see that coming, and you know, it definitely turned the tides of a lot of things. So as that's going on, Jay ended up coming out. So he coming through the crowd, doing the geek dance with everybody, just taking his slow, sweet ass time. And in the midst of that, Cody Rhodes ends up eliminating Brock Lesnar through everybody on guard, including me. I was shocked to see that, because I did not expect that to happen, especially during the entrance at that. Like, the music playing and you still Brock getting eliminated. I was like, wow. It was a very shocker moment right there. And as Jay getting into getting to the announce table, and all I'm thinking in my head is, Jay, you take your slow time, and knowing how Brock and probably him being pissed off, he might take his anger and frustration out on you and pretty much decimate you. But it didn't end up happening and all that. So Jay getting in there, you know, he had his momentum, super kicking people and all. And of course, I kind of expected this, where he would running back, playing his song, doing the yeet on the top rope and all that. And I'm just like, yo, this point right now, this shit gotta stop. But as that whole thing was going on, the next entrant that was coming in was no other than Roman Reigns. And this is when it was like, uh-oh. And now with Brock got the picture now, it's like, now it's Roman Reigns. It's like, he's the fan favorite, the fan favorite right now in this matchup. So he comes in there, his pyro goes off too as well. So Morgan, with a sense of urgency, gets in there, and at this point, it's like him and Jay had that face to face in the middle of the ring, and he was like, you know what, we run that back. He's like, Jay like, all right, cool, let's run it back. So they playing Jay's song and all that too, and just like you thought that was about to happen, you see Roman turn around, and he just uppercuts Jay like, we ain't playing that shit, and literally start to clean house right now, eliminating the Miz after hitting him with a Superman punch, you know, hitting Logan with a Superman punch as well, giving people spears, all of those shits. So at this point right now, you see the momentum starting to really ramp up, and now we're starting to like really get out of hand. And you see the interaction between him and Cody, and as that's going down, the next entrant that will come in will be Jacob Fatu, and you already know business was about to pick up the minute Jacob was there. And Cody, knowing that, all right, me and this nigga got beef with each other, let me go ahead and get to him immediately. So as he's trying to instantly, go on and attack the Jacob ends up catching him, drags him from the bottom of the ropes onto the announce table and just pretty much try to pack him up. So he does that, brings him back into the ring and all that, and then that's when he started going on an absolute tear. So Jacob doing his thing and shit. So now as the match is really getting crazy now, some things was bound to happen. And in this case right here, Royce Keys ended up getting eliminated and all that stuff. So he was up out of here. For Cody, when he was about to get eliminated, he was trying to bring himself back up, and as that was happening, you see somebody out of nowhere hits a drive-by kick to him, and it ended up being Drew McIntyre, and Cody ended up being eliminated that way. So he's gonna have something to say once they encounter each other on SmackDown after everything that went down. And of course, Drew McIntyre talking his shit, going back up the ramp, and you see Jacob Fatu looking at him like, he still had problems with him and shit. So as he's doing that, Roman takes advantage of it, eliminates Jacob Fatu. So he's up out of there now. And he's pissed about it. But Roman like, hey, you took out the ball. Like, I'm here to win this shit. And as it's happening, Jay looking to try to eliminate Roman and all that, but failed to do so. Then they run the ropes. He hits a spear on Roman and was trying to eliminate him again, but Roman was able to reverse that, throw his ass out of there. Jay was eliminated and all, and you still had two people, left that had to come out. And I wanted to bring this up because it escaped me too. Before Cody got eliminated, he eliminated LA Knight as well, which pissed me off because I would have expected him to be in the final four. It wasn't LA Knight, it had to be Bron Breakker. But we ended up getting Logan Paul, fortunately. So that pissed me off a whole lot. But it made things unpredictable. This was a very unpredictable moment. So we had Randy Orton come out now at entry, I think 29. And he comes out there and he is just wreaking havoc, RKO and motherfuckers, hitting them with vintage DDTs, all those things. So now it's getting to a point where it's getting very interesting. He ended up eliminating Javon Evans. I think he got Penta up out of there, if I'm not mistaken. So it's either him or I think it was Gunther, one or the other. But, Gunther ended up being the number 30 entrant as well. And it shocked all of us because everybody was anticipating that it was going to be Chris Jericho, in this Royal Rumble. But I'll get more into that once I finish talking about the Rumble. But Gunther coming out being a number 30 entrant, and after coming off a win ending AJ Styles' career, he's still not 100% because he's favoring that left knee, especially being put in the calf crusher where he did a lot of damage. He went in there and moving with a sense of urgency, started really packing everybody up now. And he ended up eliminating Penta and I think somebody else. Like he was getting multiple eliminations, and it was to the point where when it was all said and done, it came down to 4 people: Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, and Gunther. So as that whole thing was going down, you see Roman and Logan Paul going at it. You see Randy and Gunther going at it, back and forth. Then as that happens, and Logan turns his attention to Randy, immediately he takes advantage of that, eliminates Logan Paul, and while he was hyped up about it, you see Gunther takes advantage of that, eliminates Randy Orton, and it was down to 2 people, Roman and Gunther. And now they going back and forth. You see Gunther, he's just trying to continue to put Roman in a sleeper hold to just pretty much get him to pass out to make this a easy victory for him. But of course, Roman was not having it at all, trying to get some offense into it as well. And everything he was trying to do, you know, he tried to hit a Superman punch on the Gunther to try to eliminate, but Gunther ended up countering it, you know, go back in the ring, hit another sleeper hold on him, all of those things. So as this happened, and when Gunther tried to take advantage of it, this is when Roman Reigns was able to capitalize and be able to grab him and throw him out of the ring. And now he is your 2026 Men Royal Rumble winner. And this was a shocker, you know, because the people I had winning this Rumble was LA Knight, Bron Breakker, with Roman Reigns being my number 3. So that happening as well, and Pyro going off now is crazy. This changes everything now, because now the question is, who did he go for? Do he goes with Drew McIntyre, which they got history with each other and all of that, and he looks to get the Undisputed WWE Championship again? Or do he turn his attention to CM Punk, which they already had interactions with each other before, and he was telling him, saying, yo, that belt will look good on me, you know, referring to the World Heavyweight Championship? And do he go that direction? So there's options that's literally, you know, hanging in the balance right now on where he chooses. And I think he will probably make his decision a little before the Elimination Chamber, or probably after, depending on how things goes. So we'll see. But I think it's going to be before the Elimination Chamber, because he had to make a decision, and whoever he chooses, whether it be from Raw or SmackDown, you know, that PLE for some Elimination Chamber will be dedicated to who faces Drew McIntyre, or could be facing CM Punk at WrestleMania. So we'll see how that whole thing turns out and what decision Roman decides to pick. So in closing, I'll say for the Men's Royal Rumble, the surprise appearances, I was expecting to see Chris Jericho. I thought it would have been very surprising to see him there, but I feel like they're going to save it probably until WrestleMania as like a surprise return. I feel like if you want to really ramp it up and all that, let it happen at Mania. So I was giving that thought, like, if you don't show up for the Royal Rumble, we'll see him at WrestleMania, and then you just go from there. You build it from there. So that's how I feel about it. But overall, I enjoyed the Rumble for what it was. I still think the low point of the of the show was a Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn, only because, you know, it turned into a squash match and all in favor of Drew, and Sami ended up getting packed up. But we could tell you right now, there's a lot of build up from, you know, new storylines to old ones being revitalized and all that shit, and now makes us tune in to Raw and SmackDown for the up and coming weeks, because, you know, this Monday Night Raw, you know, you're gonna have that interaction with Liv and Raquel, you know, in regards to what happened in that Rumble match, and of course with Liv eliminating Raquel at that. You know, there's gonna be some frictions with that. You got a situation, you know, with Bron Breakker, who gonna look to crash out because you're gonna find out who was behind that hoodie, you know, that literally packed him up, caused him to go into the ring and get eliminated at that. So you got that to worry about. You know, you also had a situation with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, and we'll see how the whole thing turns out, along with Kairi Sane, you know, eliminating Asuka by mistake and all that, and she ended up getting pissed off. So we'll see some friction between that two. So it's like it gives you the tune in, and especially what Drew McIntyre did to Cody Rhodes. You know, that's bound to get brought up in this up-and-coming SmackDown. So it's a lot of things that they're gonna have to unpack, and I feel like we're gonna really get some good storylines and find out what was really going down, and hopefully we get some answers. But one way or another, you know, if I had to give a rating for the Royal Rumble, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. A solid 8 out of 10. I definitely enjoyed a very good show. If you haven't seen it, I advise y'all to go check it out. I believe it will go live on Netflix, but now that they officially got full access of WWE PLEs and all that stuff. So In due time, I think they're gonna put it up on Netflix. So go ahead, check it out, and all those things, man. My words don't do it justice. And yeah, in closing, I'll just say this: I enjoyed it. Looking forward to SmackDown and to Monday Night Raw as well. So looking to stream those events as well. So y'all make sure y'all be there and all. But make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so you get notified every time I drop content right here on the channel. But I appreciate y'all love and support. Continue to keep God first. Trust the process with anything that you do at life. Your time will come. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next video. Peace.